Hi, I'm Ron Drodos, and in 1987 through 88, I had the good fortune of being the assistant to the great jazz saxophonist Gerry Mulligan. And I thought I'd share a story concerning Gerry, the arranger Gil Evans, and the trumpet player Miles Davis that I was privy to, because this stuff's part of jazz history now. At the time, I was just a 23, 24-year-old kid driving 15 minutes to Gerry's house in Darien, Connecticut, and I would do sort of odd jobs for him and help him organize his music, photocopy, send stuff out, an occasional phone call. And then when he went on tour, I got to go along with him and do some sound, make sure that when he did a concert, I'd sit at the soundboard with the sound person, and I could do the EQ so that Gerry's particular sound of baritone sax playing came out of the speakers exactly like he sounded acoustic, or at least as close as possible. So I was in jazz heaven, just I was starting my career as a jazz pianist and arranger, and just got to absorb it all as a musical scene, hearing these people play every night for weeks on end and over months, and hearing Gerry at his house practicing and playing, occasionally getting to play a little piano as he was working out a new arrangement or tune, and absorbing it all really helped me. And so in March of 1988, Gil Evans passed away. And Gil Evans and Gerry had been two of the sort of driving forces behind the birth of the Cool Band, what's now known as Birth of the Cool, which at the time was the Miles Davis nonet. That was in 1949. And the idea was that they would sort of recreate the sound of the Claude Thornhill big band with French horns and tubas and such, and a mellower sound than most big bands, but with only 9 musicians, with Miles playing the trumpet out front, and the arrangements would be built around featuring Miles and the arrangers, actually. The arrangements were really the star of that. And Gil had done 2 great arrangements for the band, Boplicity and Moon Dreams. They're classics, and check them out if you haven't heard them yet. And so in March of '88, Gil passed away, and I remember being at Gerry's house and doing some photocopies and this and that, and he had told me that Gil had died. And we got to lunch at around 1 o'clock or so, and Gerry had a formal dining room. So we're sitting there, it's Gerry, me, Gerry's wife, Franca, who was also his manager, and we started eating lunch, and Gerry was bright red, like angry, bright red like he would get, and just ornery, acerbic in the way he was speaking about things, and maybe the vein was sticking out of his neck or something, because he had just gotten off the phone with Miles Davis. Because his idea was, okay, let's reassemble the Birth of the Cool Band. Let's get Lee Konitz, John Lewis, whoever else was there and wanted to play. They hadn't played together in years and never played those arrangements again. Let's do it. Let's do it for Gil at the memorial service. It was going to be in a few weeks. And so he calls Miles, probably thinking that Miles was like, yeah, let's do this. And apparently, I remember Gerry, he really thought Miles's agent or manager had a great name. It was like Shoe Cat. That was his last name, something like that. Shoe Cat. He said, that's a great name for a manager. But when he spoke to Miles, Gerry was probably like, okay, Miles, let's get together. Fly back from the West Coast, and we'll do this at St. Peter's. And apparently Miles, he didn't like to look back. At that time, he looked forward with his music. Apparently he said something like, why do you want to play that old stuff? And I think he used a much more colorful word than stuff, according to Gerry. But whatever it was, Gerry got so upset. I don't know if he hung up on him, but the end of the conversation did not go well. And Gerry was mad for probably the rest of the day. They ended up having Lou Soloff, who was in Gil's orchestra at the time, played the trumpet on it. It's wonderful. You can see both clips, Boplicity and Moon Dreams, on YouTube from the Gil Evans Memorial Service, St. Peter's Church. I believe it was April 3rd, 1988, if I remember right, April 3rd. And other people played too. Cecil Taylor played a solo piano piece, and the Gil Evans Orchestra played some older thing, 1 or 2 older pieces, and then some of the current repertoire they've been playing. It was just beautiful. I remember standing, I was right off to the side of like the altar, which was where they were, at the church, and tears are like streaming down my face, and hanging out backstage with, hearing Gerry and Lee Konitz catch up and telling stories of the old days. It was really, like I said, I was just like soaking it up, even if Gerry was sort of mad that day at Miles Davis, I was loving it. Just, ooh, boy. Of course, a few years later, Miles did revisit that old stuff and played the Gil Evans arrangements with Quincy Jones at Montreux, but that was a few years after that. So hope you enjoy this little story from what's now jazz history, and I'll probably tell a couple others from time to time and share them with you. Good luck with whatever music you're involved with, and take care.